Welcome to the Healing Hour with Sarah O'Brien.
Hi guys, welcome to Thursday. Welcome to the Healing Hour. I'm happy to see you here, whoever is here. I am happy for whoever is tuning in, either on the replay or live. I appreciate you being here and learning a little something about healing, wellness for you or for maybe the people around you. I'm going to start with my usual. I'll do a check-in and then I'll take my 3 deep breaths. Feel free to drop your check-in in the chat if you want. Just one or two words or a sentence about like where you're at, or maybe that describes where you are today and how you're showing up today. I am feeling pretty rested. I slept like maybe 9-10 hours last night. And for anybody that knows me well, sleep has been a battle for like half my life. So when I get that much sleep, it's kind of cool. I still have coffee because morning is still not the greatest time for me. But I took my dog on a nice frigid walk this morning. It's real cold here in Virginia. And water is back on in Richmond. Everybody will be happy to know. Everybody is off boil notice. We have water back. Hopefully the city is going to update and maintain the water treatment facility in Richmond so this doesn't happen again. But that is where we are. We haven't had more snow, but it's been super cold here. The winter blues are kicking in for a lot of people. So I am grateful for my community. I love living in Richmond. I am grateful for a full night of sleep last night, and I am grateful for some space to do some writing today and some other things that I enjoy doing when I take a break from client appointments. So I'm not talking too fast at y'all today, but I'm still going to take my 3 deep breaths just to get grounded and to give you guys an opportunity to take deep breaths. This is really good for your nervous system. It's really good for your brain, for your internal physiology, for getting oxygen in there. So deep breaths are always a good thing. Let's start with 3 in through your nose, out through your mouth. Here we go. 1. Try to extend the inhale and the exhale. 2. One more. Okay. Now I'm grounded. I hope you're grounded and ready to go. Today we're going to be talking about burnout. I have nearly burned out twice professionally, and the more I've learned about it, I think I definitely burned out personally sometime in 2022. There was a lot of interpersonal stressors I had going on, and while I was able to actually maintain some balance with work, I was not able to maintain balance in some other things that were stressful. And I definitely experienced a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today. This is also one of the areas that I specialize in terms of coaching and consulting and mental health work or psychotherapy. So if you live in Virginia or Maryland, I am open for taking some new clients for psychotherapy. If you live outside of those states, I am open for taking coaching clients to sort of work us through maybe some new skills, either for preventing burnout or managing burnout, if you have that going on right now. And of course, I am a trauma-informed leadership strategist and consultant. So if you need somebody to come and talk to your staff or your organization about burnout and how to prevent burnout or what to do if you notice burnout, please contact me. My email is right up on the screen right now, sarahefobrien@gmail.com. I am open for work, folks. This is the type of work that I love to do, love to educate people on, and for them to find healing this way. So drop in the chat anything that you think, anything that comes to mind as related to burnout. Have you experienced it? Have you noticed this in other people? What do you know about it? What do you not know about it? Certainly let me know if I'm teaching you something new. That's kind of the idea. I try to bring topics that maybe people aren't talking about or don't know as much about in hopes of bringing healing around these things. That's what the show is about. That is why I talk about these things. So Let's dive into some content. Burnout. What do you really know about it, and can you spot it? Burnout is an ongoing state of feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, and emotionally drained due to consistent stress in your work, family, or social life. So for me, I nearly burned out in my work life twice and then did burn out in my family social life once. And coming back from that, takes some work, takes some effort. So this could be you if you're feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, emotionally drained due to stressors that either don't seem to be letting up or that you can't let go. So today we're going to be talking about symptoms, types, stages, and effects of untreated burnout. So do you know what the symptoms of burnout are? Do you know about the different types of burnout? Do you know the stages and progression of burnout? And do you know the effects of untreated burnout? We're going to learn if you don't. So hang in there. Symptoms of burnout. Feeling exhausted or drained of energy, feeling hopeless and unmotivated, detachment, being detached from people and things, could be your work and or the people in and around you. Become cynical and negative and feeling a sense of failure. This isn't something that is going to go away. It is something that you have to address. Down here, I have some information. The Oldenburg Burnout Inventory measures disengagement and exhaustion levels. It's a really interesting tool. I did not create this tool, but I have access to this tool and this like assessment basically, and you go in and fill it out and then you score it and it lets you know sort of where you are in the burnout scale in terms of these two things, disengagement and exhaustion. So disengagement is related to this idea of detachment, like we're just not connected to things. The Oldenburg burnout inventory that measures this is included in my burnout awareness kit and then in the burnout recovery full kit, which includes all the contents of my 3 other compassionate self kits. Those are available for purchase on my website. You don't even need to contact me for it. You can just go right on, purchase it, and it will drop into your inbox, and you will have access to all the things that I created, all the digital forms and worksheets and things, and you don't even need to talk to me to get it. So if you are interested in learning more about burnout, you can start with a burnout awareness. It's the lowered cost kit, and then since the Burnout Recovery Full Kit includes the contents of all 3 other kits and some new information, it's a little bit more, but you can start with the cheap one. I also have some free resources on my website, so feel free to go there and see what you can grab for free. It's www.sarahobrianlcsw.com. Hi, Freesia. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're inviting Laura. I would love to see her here as well. I'm happy to see that you've shown up today. I hope that you are learning something about burnout. Okay, symptoms of burnout. So, like I said, this can be hard to spot. And so that's why this inventory is really good to do, particularly if you're in a healthcare field. You guys know I'm champion for my mental health providers and anybody in healthcare. It's a grueling field. Basically, it's a grueling workplace, kind of all around, and the demands on healthcare providers are, in my opinion, unreasonable and unrealistic, which is what contributes to our burnout. And lack of effective leadership and caring leadership also contributes to our burnout. And so the Oldenburg inventory is really good for healthcare providers or mental health care providers to find out where they are on this scale. So pick up my burnout awareness kit now. And dive into some of that content to figure out where you are. Are you close to it? Okay, I came across 4 types of burnout. Thought these were interesting. Overload burnout, under-challenged burnout, neglect burnout, and habitual burnout. So let's start with overload burnout. Sorry, blah, 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 getting tongue-tied. Overload burnout happens when you work harder and harder and become frantic in your pursuit of success. You may, if you experience this, you may be willing to risk your health and personal life to feel successful. So this is if you're trying to get ahead, if you're trying to get a promotion, if you're trying to get a new job, if you're trying to prove yourself, succeed, if you're an entrepreneur and you're just on the hustle, hustle, hustle and not taking breaks, that kind of thing. This is overload burnout. Under challenged burnout happens when you feel underappreciated and bored, particularly at work. Maybe your job doesn't provide learning opportunities or have room for professional growth. This is exactly where I came from when I worked in public mental health. There was no room to do anything except to be in the grind, in the cog of seeing clients one after another, and then going to meetings about how we see clients one after another. And that's basically it. And there's no room for new learning, doing something creative. There really is not a lot of room for growth unless you want to go into middle management. So, and that's not the only growth opportunities for people. You don't have to go into middle management to have growth opportunities, but healthcare positions, particularly men's healthcare positions, don't offer a whole lot. So, in some ways, you could be under challenged and bored, and this could result in burnout. And if you feel under a challenge, you may distance yourself, become cynical, and avoid responsibilities. Like you just might not do your work because it's boring. Um, and that can be an issue. We need something to challenge our brains, not too much, but just enough. We need some room for creativity. Things just can't be the same all the time. We need some new ways in which we're using our brain and our skills. And being in an under challenged workplace can contribute to burnout in that regard. Neglect burnout happens when you feel helpless. If things aren't going right, you may believe you're incompetent or you're unable to keep up with your responsibilities. Um, I'm trying to think if I want to say. Okay, yeah, I knew I had a little bit more to say about it. Okay, I'm on to my next slide. So, also with neglect burnout, this can be closely connected to imposter syndrome, which is a psychological pattern in which you doubt your abilities, talents, and accomplishments. So, you could be experiencing burnout because of negative internal messaging. So, not only like neglecting what is true, right? If we're only seeing kind of the negative here, that you're incompetent and unable and feeling helpless to make any changes. And that could also be neglecting your self-care, which would help you feel differently about yourself and your abilities. So these can contribute to what is called neglect burnout. Habitual burnout. This is the most serious phase of burnout. It happens when your physical and mental fatigue is chronic, like day in and day out, and doesn't go away. You feel sad, your behavior changes. Sometimes you can cross over into depression symptoms, suicidal thoughts. If you are in this space, it is crucial to seek outside help. We are not going to be able to manage burnout to this degree on our own. And we are going to need some guidance and some support. Okay, so types of burnout: overload, habitual, neglect, and under challenged. Stages of burnout. I came across 12 stages of burnout, and these go in progression from like least concerning to most concerning as we get to 12. First, an urgent need to prove yourself. In this earliest phase of burnout, you want to do well, so much so that you are being a perfectionist and fear not fulfilling demands. And because you fear not fulfilling demands, like you start to work harder. It's that idea that you're putting in more. You're maybe starting to sacrifice some of your physical or mental health. Perfectionism is not a healthy brain space to be. I have lived most of my life in perfectionism. And it's a bitch, y'all. Like that's what I'm gonna say about it. It's constantly seeing the things that are not correct and wanting so much to correct them and not being able to, because I'm human and other people are human and things are going to always be imperfect. But trying to be perfect can cause a lot of stress. And perfectionism is often born out of fear. So fear of not being seen, fear of not succeeding, fear of not fulfilling the demands, whatever it might be here. Is this urgent need to prove yourself is indicator number one, you might be on the path to burnout. 2, working hard. You feel the need to do everything yourself and complete tasks as soon as possible. I hear that, Frisia. I learned perfectionism from my mother as well. And so much so that I would say that perfectionism was probably a value and expectation in my family system growing up, at least of me. There was an expectation that I don't do things wrong, that I don't get things wrong, and that I'm perfect. And that if I do anything wrong, bad, or not what my parents wanted, particularly my mom, then it was really bad for me. So being perfect was in some ways a coping mechanism and saving me from more trauma and like my mom being upset at me. So I feel that, Frisia. Yeah, when we do often learn these from our families of origin, and then we have to pay attention to how this plays out in our adult lives now. Like if your perfectionism has rolled over into you trying to prove yourself and working really hard and on the brink of burnout, then it's not helpful anymore. It's no longer a good survival or coping strategy. It's actually harming you. So in a lot of ways, perfectionism served me for a long time. And a lot of other ways, it's caused a lot of damage and stress in my life. Okay, 3, neglecting your needs. Thinking the stress of work or activities such as caregiving is normal. And so as a result, you neglect your social life and could potentially look down on others who pursue one. You begin to make small mistakes, basically because you're like overloaded. We can't keep the train on the tracks, right? Like we can't keep all the mail inside the box, so to speak. Like things are sort of spilling out everywhere. And we are sacrificing some normal balance in our lifetimes with other people away from the things that are causing us stress. In this case, we're talking about caregiving in this little example. It's not good to just be caregiving all the time and never do anything for yourself and never do anything social. And you might feel guilty when you do that because you need to be taking care of somebody, but you can't take care of somebody if you never take care of yourself. And I know everybody's heard that, but it's true. Eventually you will just like hit the wall in the brink of it and just not be able to move forward anymore until you do something different. So neglecting your needs is an early stage of burnout when we start to do that. It's not good for us. And if we do that ongoing, it's going to be really bad for us. 4, you start to experience more interpersonal conflict, have conflicts with coworkers or friends or your partner. You don't sleep well. You have other physical complaints. You become forgetful. Now, this is already starting to feel like a little serious. Like if we're starting to have a lot more interpersonal conflict, forgetting things, starting to feel it more in our nervous system and our bodies. And we're only at stage 4, guys. And then we already need to be doing something about this. We already need to be doing something about this at this point. And we have a long way to go for it to get a lot worse if we don't stop and do something about this. 5, a revision of values. You start to see things differently and begin to seem insensitive to others around you. So this is getting calloused a little bit, kind of cold and hard because you're not taking care of yourself and you're overworking or overdoing someplace else. And that's just think of that as like one big ball of like stress, like one big like tightly wound thing. And so yes, of course, you probably become more unpleasant potentially. And have less patience and tolerance for things around you or people around you or other people around you. Friends and family become secondary to your goals. Like this could be at work. And so you're neglecting things that used to be important to you because you are working too much or putting too much energy into that one thing and not having enough balance. Number 6 would be denial, bitterness, and cynicism start to creep in. You begin to cut yourself off from others, becoming impatient, intolerant, and angry. Again, this is this like low frustration tolerance, low patience. Like I can't, I'm so wound up and I'm so stressed all the time. Just the slightest thing just kind of makes me explode or like makes me really angry and even more impatient with other people. And that starts to come out. Other people can start to see that. And now, even though burnout may have started with you like working hard and trying to get ahead and be successful, you now might be at the place that your performance is suffering. You're actually not doing that well at things because it's too much and there's too much stress and there's not enough break time and you're not feeling well, sleeping well, having more physical discomfort or ailments or complaints. 7, withdrawal. Dealing with others feels like a burden. You get angry if someone criticizes you, and you may feel disoriented or helpless. You may try to self medicate with alcohol or drugs or prescription substances used incorrectly or inappropriately. And this is like it's like that overload thing. It's too much. I am giving too much in one area, so I literally have nothing to give in this other area. And a lot of if it's work or something, or if you're caregiving one person, the other areas will be the other people and the other things in your life. Yes, you may have less energy, and of course you would, to interact and engage with other people if you are pouring out all of your energy to succeed or caregiving or in some other type of way. 8, behavioral changes, apathy can set in, nothing matters anymore. Maybe you avoid additional responsibilities. Again, like your ability to function becomes lower and lower and lower. If our performance starts to suffer, if we're not interacting with people, if we're not taking care of ourselves, if we're having sleep problems, if we're having physical discomfort and issues, then we can see how it would be easy to start neglecting other responsibilities. It's like, where are you going to find the energy? Where are you going to find the literal physical strength to do whatever you need to do? Grocery shop, the dishes, taking the car to get inspected, like whatever it might be. Like we really just can't anymore. And this is when it looks like the apathy and that nothing matters. And we just don't have the ability to do things the way that we were doing them before. We literally don't have the energy for it. Depersonalization. 9, you lose your sense of identity, seeing yourself as only a vessel through which work and responsibilities are completed. Your life maybe feels meaningless and you begin to neglect your health. This one I really started to notice when it was like at the height in like 2022 for me when I was feeling really terrible. I think I started to tell myself this message, like, I'm only good for what I do. I'm only good for what I do for other people. I'm, only good for what I provide and what I give, and nobody is concerned about giving back to me. So why ask? It's a very negative headspace to be in, and that's not healthy. But it makes sense, like if you move through this progression of burnout, which is basically just like on a spectrum and levels of taking less care of yourself, spending more energy on something else, whether it's taking care of people or work, etc. And that really there's just not enough balance, and we have to have some of that to be healthy. Okay, number 10, feeling empty, exhaustion, anxiety, and panic set in, sort of the idea of like, it's never going to be different. This is how it is. Despair, you may have feelings of self-hatred or depression coupled with suicidal thoughts. And then total burnout. This last phase is the mental and emotional collapse completely, like inability to be well kind of all around, mentally, physically, work performance, relationally, like we are just not doing well in all areas. If we are in 9, 10, 11, 12, so if you are experiencing depersonalization or that like detachment, feeling empty, despair, or total burnout, you need to seek outside help. There's no shame in that. Burnout is part pattern of behavior. Sometimes it's expectations of others that we don't realize that we're trying to meet or that we are supposed to meet, like at work. Like if there's unreasonable and unrealistic expectations just in the normal flow of your job, which I think is true for public mental health positions for clinicians, like just the job itself is unreasonable, unrealistic. And somebody doing that day in and day out for years will burn out because of the nature of the way the job is. So that could be it. And just recognizing you really need to change jobs, and that was the case for me when I left public mental health 9 years ago. It was recognizing like I'm on the brink of burnout. And I was actually on the brink of leaving the profession entirely. After 9 years in mental health care and mental health treatment, I thought there's no way I can have a career in this. I'm freaking exhausted. I'm not well. Everything is terrible. They don't care about me at this job. And like, this is all I know how to do. I went to school for 6 years to do this, and now I can't do this anymore. And recognizing I really just needed to change jobs, which is when I started my private practice, and haven't really come to the brink of burnout to that degree ever again, but came close in 2022. Like I'm saying, the pandemic had been going on for a while, and then I had some personal stuff, and then it was all just kind of there for me. But if you are experiencing depersonalization, feeling empty, feeling despair, or a total mental and emotional collapse, then you need to seek outside help. You need to find a therapist. Okay, like what are the effects of untreated, unaddressed burnout? Well, your mental health is going to suffer. Burnout itself is not a mental health diagnosis, but it can lead to mental health diagnoses, basically because you're not caring for yourself and your physical and mental health is so poor from outpouring for some other reason and not inpouring to yourself enough. So if left untreated, it can affect your career and relationships as well as your physical and mental health. It can lead to depression and anxiety. And then you could actually have symptoms that meet criteria for a diagnosable mental health disorder. So if you catch burnout in the earlier stages and do something about it, it's less likely that you will end up with a mental health diagnosis as a result of unchecked and untreated burnout. Other effects are job absence. Obviously, in the workplace, prolonged burnout can lead to chronic absence and job dissatisfaction. That's exactly what it was for me in the end. It's like every day that I could call in and not be there, I was doing it. I was so um, dissatisfied and burned out and had zero energy and felt like I had zero support from management, from upper management and supervisors, that I didn't want to be there anymore. And that makes perfect sense when you are just feeling at the end of your rope. Not only mental health diagnoses, but other health diagnoses or physical health diagnoses. It can lead to other illnesses and insomnia, diabetes, GI issues. Right, here are some of them. So these are the health issues: weight gain, headaches, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, heart disease and heart attack, stomach and GI problems, muscle and joint pain, breathing issues, and injuries, and even early death. And injuries could happen in the workplace or at home. And early death is like we're just taking years off your life with burnout, like especially if it goes untreated. So these are some serious consequences, folks. Like if we do not look at burnout, and yes, you have a personal responsibility to address burnout. The bigger issue for me, the thing I get on my soapbox about, is like this is an issue in organizations, in systems, in leadership. If we are having unreasonable and unrealistic expectations of the people that work for us, then burnout is a guarantee eventually. There needs to be a shift. There needs to be a change in the systems, in leadership, to where we are considering people, as humans, which means we are not robots, and we have a finite amount of energy and a finite amount of ability to deal with stress. And that doesn't mean that we can't do our job well. It means we can't do our job to that level well forever. Like there has to be a break, and there has to be less stressful work, and there has to be more reasonable expectations that we can actually meet regularly, and not feel like we meet that only when we've poured out everything that we have to give. So for me, this is definitely also an issue in terms of leadership and the way that you lead others, and the way that you communicate with others, and the things that you value and elevate or make important at the organization or the workplace. And the people need to be it. And if people are important, burnout should be important to you. And the risk for your people getting burnout or suffering from burnout should be important to you. And that's something that we need to look at as we move into trauma-informed leadership, which is where I think things are going. At least that's where I hope things are going. Okay. What can you do about it? So we talked about symptoms, types, stages, and then effects of untreated burnout. If you're experiencing this, like I said, it's not going to be good to try to keep going. It will only make things worse. Instead, you really need to take a break and take a step back to help yourself recognize these signs and work to lessen it. And this might mean you need to change jobs. And I know that sounds really overwhelming for a lot of people, but if your workplace is just causing so much stress that you're burned out and you can't get out from underneath of it, then you're going to have to leave and find a new job. If you've advocated for yourself and leadership and management is not doing anything to change your workload or address that you feel so stressed and overwhelmed and burdened and burnt out at work, then you need to leave your workplace. And I know it's not easy. So if I'll give you guys my example, I knew I needed to leave my job like a year before I left my job, because I was not in a position to leave it as soon as I recognized burnout coming. And so really my burnout just got a lot worse by the end. And I had to do like more work to bring it back, but I was also not in a position to leave my job right when I recognized it. It was about a year later that I actually left my job. And 9 months of that year was me building my private practice on the side. So honestly, I really put out more energy that I probably didn't have, really having to push myself some, put out more energy to be able to leave my job that was super stressful. So it got worse before it got better, basically, because I had to double time, do another job on top of my really stressful 40-hour-a-week job, to then get out from under all the burnout and stress from my 40-hour-a-week job, remain in my field, providing mental health treatment in a different capacity, where I have control over the boundaries and my own capacity and limitations. And therefore, I can practice mental health care now with way, 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 way less risk of burnout, because I'm in control of balancing things. This is why I have pivoted some since 2022 and doing some other work and writing. This is why you guys see me do this podcast now. Chief Mental Health Officer for Circle of Friends Club, Director of Student Wellness for Transformation Kitchen and HR for You. This is all an attempt to diversify. So I'm just not in the cog of seeing clients for therapy sessions day in and day out, 6, 7 sessions a day, 5 days a week for years. I need to do something different. I need to have more balance, and I need to have more diversity in my work week. So now I spend 3 days a week practicing psychotherapy with clients, and I spend 2 days a week in my other roles and responsibilities, including doing a lot of writing and content creation, hence this podcast, and education for others, speaking and training opportunities. And that has helped balance some of the burnout in the workload. I feel absolutely way far away from burnout now, especially in terms of clinical care, which affords me the ability to provide better clinical care because I'm not burned out. And if you find yourself in this is what you can do. You need to seek help in managing your stress, engage in more things socially, more social activities with people, change your attitude about work. I understand that's easier said than done. And it's a process, but you can get started on it. Set new priorities, including some of your self-care. Pay attention to other habits that you have. Try to eat healthy foods and engage in healthy movement regularly. That's something that I make time for. It's part of the reason why I don't start my day until like 10:30 or 11 because I have a routine in the morning that's helpful for me. I can engage in my healthy movement. I get outside, I take my dog for a walk, I do yoga or other stretching or some weight training. And the morning is the best time for me to do that. And for me to stay in that healthy routine, having set that new priority, is really beneficial in working for myself and not having to be at a job at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, because it's so much harder for me to do the other things that helps me care for myself. Okay, those are some ways that you can address your burnout. How specifically can I help? I've given you guys like a lot about my services and products and what I offer. I have created these things to be helpful to other people. So yes, just like everybody else, I need to make enough money to live. And this is part of the way that I don't have to see just therapy clients day in, day out, back to back to back. To reach the wider audience and to get some more healing and education to people, I've created some digital products that can be helpful. So there is a free book on burnout, and 17 terms to describe burnout. That's available on my website. You can find it either in free resources or under private practice resources. I mentioned this earlier, but I have a burnout awareness kit. It's one of my compassionate self kits. The other ones are self-care kit and setting boundaries kit. The burnout awareness kit includes a recovery guide, a self-care checkup, inventory, and promise, and it includes that Oldenburg burnout inventory that you can take, and how to score it is included in there. And like I said, that one's $19. And then you could do the burnout recovery full kit, which includes a self-care kit, the setting boundaries kit, the burnout awareness kit, and some more extras, as well as that Oldenburg inventory that measures that disengagement and exhaustion. And that can tell you like how close are you to stage 1 versus stage 12. And that one's a little bit more. It's $49. You can find it on my website. Again, guys, you don't even have to interact with me. If you want the kits and you want the information, you can go directly to my website. There is an order form. You fill it out, you pay, it comes directly to your inbox. You don't have to deal with me at all. So if you want to start learning about this and you're not really sure where to go, just go there, get one of those. You don't even have to talk to anybody. You can start reading about it and learning about it on your own, and then decide when and who you want to reach out to somebody for some further help. I am available for that help. Like I said, if you live in Virginia or Maryland, I'm open for a couple more psychotherapy clients this year. And my schedule is open for coaching clients and coaching services. So you can have dedicated one-to-one support for reaching these goals. I also have coaching packages available if you want like a series of sessions. All available on my website, guys. Go look. You can contact me there. You can purchase things right from there. And then finally, something that is really vital for mental health providers, maybe all healthcare providers, but I know us in mental health feel really siloed and siphoned off a lot. And we often feel siloed and siphoned off a lot from other healthcare providers as if we are not at the same level or caliber. Don't tell yourself that negative message. It's not true. We are very valuable. We provide a healthcare service. The demands for mental health care providers is unreasonable, in my opinion, all the way down to insurance expectations. But I'm sure if you're a mental health provider, you have a passion for it because you would have to, because it's not a lucrative business. And we don't get a lot of respect. And so I commend you for being a mental health care provider, knowing it's not celebrated that much in all the ways. And so if you need support, come join us at Circle of Friends Club with your mental health provider membership. And there is lots that we're going to do once we get a group of mental health providers over there. There will be monthly just like support groups where we can just chat, vent, be together, lift one another up. I will also offer clinical consultation for anybody that is practicing and has tough clinical cases. I've been a practicing provider for 15 years. I don't know everything, but we can hash it out together and maybe in a group with some other experienced folks with their 2 cents. And then if you are interested, if you already have your private practice or you're interested in private practice startup, that's a consultation service that I provide. And then in the Circle of Friends Club group membership for mental health providers, I will offer monthly business consultation if you're a practice owner. So then you'll get tips about that. So lots of perks, and including handouts and resources. You'll get a business listing that's international for any of your services, for your psychotherapy services, for other things that you offer. That's included in your membership. And so there's really a lot to offer there. Reach out to me or my partner wellness, Jason Wilson. You guys know he's behind the scenes doing all this fun stuff for me so that I can be out here talking to you and we can get you hooked up with a membership. You can do it monthly or you can do it annually. You can try it out for a month and then cancel. There's no obligation. Honestly, our mission is to, and definitely mine is just to reach people, get us together so you're not feeling alone. Everybody needs community. Everybody needs support, me included. And I would love to be more connected to some mental health providers. And I would love to offer a trauma-informed space for mental health providers to feel safe. Honestly, in some regard, just really bitching about how terrible the field is and all the terrible things in it, because we all understand it. And sometimes we just need to say it out loud and be validated by the other people who understand that. And so I really just want to offer a healing resource to my fellow mental health providers, because I know burnout is real for us and it happens all the time. And feeling like an island and alone in this work is also very real for us. And also being very afraid to complain about our work is very real for us, given the way that others view our work, how we are not respected as much in the field. And I don't want that to be the case. So if I can at least be a space that opens up for mental health providers to come and have community, get some resources, get more exposure for their business. If you want your own podcast, you can have that too. We have a lot to offer over here, and I would love to see you guys. It's a really affordable membership. It's less than a LinkedIn premium. FYI, and you're probably going to get a whole lot more out of it because you're actually going to get to talk to some people face to face via video. So I would love to see you guys over there. If you want to dive more into your burnout healing journey, or at least your burnout awareness journey, so that you can spot it either in you or a family member or a coworker, to be able to help facilitate healing for somebody else, then please grab one of my kits. I would appreciate it. I just appreciate the support for my business, but also appreciate any feedback from anybody who picks those up and let me know what you think about it. Was it helpful? What was good? What wasn't? And then I can always refine my resources for what people need. Okay. For anybody who's just tuning in for the first time today, who am I? I am Sarah Fargo O'Brien. I am a licensed psychotherapist, specifically a licensed clinical social worker in Virginia and Maryland. I am a trauma-informed leadership strategist, a subject matter expert, and a private practice consultant. I also train and speak on these subjects. And I am open for all kinds of work. So reach out to me. You can find me on my website, www.sarahobrienlcsw.com. You can fill out my contact form. You can find my email and reach out to me directly. Thank you for watching today. This is just a last little reminder about the kits, and they're available. All the Compassionate Self Kits, self-care, setting boundaries, burnout awareness, and then the burnout recovery full kit. But don't forget to check my website for free resources, because you can start with those. I have a free burnout ebook, a free emotional intelligence ebook. Like, you can go get those and get started and then determine if you want to get some more of my products. So I'm happy to pass along those free resources. Go check my website for those. My partner, Jason Wilson, will be putting out the Circle of Friends Club newsletter on Sunday. It is going to have a list of all of our services. Eventually, that will be posted on our website, but we are doing some updates on that. We do have a Freedom Fight Expo coming up in February, so keep an eye out for what that's going to be about and who we're going to have speaking. And therapists, come join us. Check the newsletter. Check the services that we offer, and also in the newsletter is all the virtual events coming up for the next week, the other podcast shows that Circle of Friends Club hosts, the weekly Bible study that Jason hosts, and a number of other things. So check out the newsletter. It drops on Sundays usually. Check Jason Wilson's site or the Circle of Friends Club site. That's where it will be. Next week, I will not be here, guys. Self-care. I have a doctor's appointment and a massage at the time that is the healing hour. So I'm taking a little 1-week break so that I don't burn out and I have some room in my life, in my week, for some other things that I need. And that happens to be when I get scheduled things. So honestly, and I probably scheduled them 3 months ago before I even had the show. And I will do my best to keep my Thursdays at 11 open, but just know I will not be here next week, but we will be back the week after that. And we might be talking about some more burnout because there's just a lot in here that we could be going through, or I might be talking about some other ways that we could find some healing via trauma-informed care. So keep watching. Not next week, the week after. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate anybody that supports me. And I wish you all healing and wellness as we move into the weekends. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching The Healing Hour with Sarah O'Brien. See you next time.